Hello and welcome to IA in the Loop. In this episode, IA publisher Gary Robinson is back in Dubai to meet Mike Coady, CEO of Skybound Wealth Management.
Here we are again. Mike Coady, the first person to be welcomed back to the IA in the Loop podcast. Welcome back, Mike.
Thanks for coming to see us in our offices.
It's great. We were here in May this year. It's now October, towards the end of October, ahead of our II Middle East Forum, the 7th annual Middle East Forum that we've done. And Mike, you are one of our panelists. So we're excited and we'll look forward to that. We'll talk about that in a second. But first and foremost, how's things going here at Skybound? It seems like every single week there's another release, if not 2 or 3 new initiatives. I mean, just in the last 2-3 weeks, we've had the sports initiative and we've had the schools initiative. How's things going, and how do you keep on top of it all? Because it seems like there's a lot going on.
For sure. I think this year has been a strong year by any stretch of the imagination. As you know, I've been in this industry a long time, and there are certain years where you feel really proud of what you've achieved. A lot of that, since I came back, was about building a really strong team, particularly around that sort of executive committee and senior management team. So we really tasked ourselves very heavily around project and development and really improving that overall proposition throughout the year. That proposition is an advisory proposition, it's a client proposition. And we're nearly at the end of the year, and to be fair, most projects have been achieved or exceeded. So we're in a good space. Never a perfect year. It's a tough industry at times, but no, we're pleased and proud of the year so far.
So many congratulations on your II Award success. We'll talk about that separately, but first and foremost, it must be a thrill to receive Company of the Year the 2nd year in a row.
Yeah, I think the 2 years in a row makes it great, really. I think last year we did Readers. This year, of course, we got both Readers and the overall winner. And it's great for me as a leader of the business to take that recognition, but more than any of that is to really sort of reward the hard work from every level of the business, particularly that sort of senior management, OpCo, ExCo level, where people have early mornings, late nights, into the weekends, and it's a nice award to have for sure.
Well, we've enjoyed working with you this year. We've done a few things together. You guys, Tom was a panelist on the II Connect event, which was eventful, as they always are. You're doing the Middle East Forum. One of the things we'll be talking about, so people can have a preview. This won't go out probably until after the event anyway. One of the things we'll be talking about at the event is this place, Dubai. It's going, every single time I come, something else, another building's gone up. Every single time I'm in town, it seems that there's another 100,000, 200,000 people that have moved here. What are the challenges of being a financial advisory firm in this place?
Listen, I think our business is one of a global function. I think with recent consolidation, we're one of very few companies now that have that infrastructure and that licensing ability to really call ourselves global. I think Dubai, UAE is no different to any other remit or region, and they all have their upside, they all have their challenges. What I would say about the UAE, and I kind of touched upon it last time, is it's really nice to see that level of quality, competition, colleague type business come into the marketplace, whether it's the old traditional names that have naturally progressed in their own propositions and their own standards, but also nice to see, particularly through places like DIFC, AGGM, people coming in fresh starters, new to the market, people that can set new standards in the industry. And of course, that means that all of the other companies work hard to catch up and make sure that we have the highest standards in any of the places across the world. And regulation is also sensible here. There are lots of places in the world where regulation, to a degree, particularly in the expat space, that doesn't always understand the nuances of expatriate financial advice, have really ruined the ability to give good, honest, sensible advice in some jurisdictions in the world. It's still nice to see that this marketplace allows us to work with clients in a nice way and to do what's right and best for those clients.
Now, you say that, yet, and we touched on this last time, I don't think they're tough enough, the regulators. I think the fact that, and this is difficult because the kind of scams that happen in Dubai, the ones that are prevalent and people end up getting bitten by, they tend to be unregulated. It's unregulated business. So you guys don't write unregulated business. But somehow, some of the advisors that are out here get a little bit too greedy.
Yeah.
They say they're not giving advice and these sophisticated products. Do you not think that the regulator could be a bit tougher, or is it just part of the industry? You know, there's always going to be unregulated loan note, structured note products for sophisticated investors. People need to get used to it, but maybe more can be done to promote the fact that some products can be very risky.
I think if you look at probably arguably some of the toughest regulators in the world, FCA, SEC, Australia, for example, scams is just a normal part of transactions, whether it be bank scams, banking transfers, investment scams, frauds. So I don't think that the regulator can solve everything. It makes it slightly easier, I think, in single regulatory jurisdictions. Like FCA encompasses or oversees all transactions in the UK. I think it's slightly difficult in the UAE in so much that you've got 4 or 5 different regulators, all regulating what they consider to be their remit. And of course, if a non-regulated product or a non-regulated advisor falls through the gap between those 2 regulators, it's whose responsibility is it to pick it up? Now, I know that those regulators are starting to have a more joined up, cohesive relationship between themselves. I don't think you'll ever get rid of scams. I just think that consumers need to be educated as to the risks of various different transactions, who they're buying from. Like, I would wonder why a client would buy an investment from a non-regulated advisory firm.
I think it's something that people do business based on trust.
Yeah.
And if your financial advisor says, "Oh, we've got this thing, it's a bit different," and I don't know. I mean, it's an unfair question to level at you, but it's something that we'll bring up at the panel. And as the publisher of 2 financial services titles, we are fiercely independent, and we do get a lot of heat from consumer groups that are saying, do more, telling us to do more. And I want to do more. I feel a responsibility as a publisher of a cross-border financial services publication to do more.
Yeah, I think you've got different groups of people that can take more responsibility. I think publications such as yourself, making sure you deal with only the finest of institutions, the finest of brokers, the finest of agents. I think the regulators can always do more, whether it's through regulation or consumer awareness. Certainly we see that in some jurisdictions now. I think the product providers, the institutions themselves, if I'm dealing with somebody that's trying to use my product that used to have a previous life in a product provider or a solution or a scam that went wrong, again, I think they should hold those individual advisors or firms to account better. As I say, if I was involved in an investment, let's say the 79th Group 6 months ago or a year ago, and I'm now at a new financial planning firm, there should, of course, naturally be questions asked of that financial planning firm as to the history of their staff members. Certainly, I know from our perspective, there are lots of people that we turn down now because they might interview reasonably well. They may be attractive to us in terms of the clients and the business levels they bring to us. But actually, when you dig deep enough, they may have been involved in, for example, a 79th Group, and that would naturally be, in the main, a red flag for us.
In the sort of 5 years, is it 5 years, 6 years that Skybound's been here in Dubai, or is it longer?
No,
it was Guardian.
Yeah, originally it was Guardian. So my understanding is Guardian probably has a 15, 20-year history in this part of the world. And then 5 or 6 years ago, Skybound Capital purchased in full Guardian from what was the previous 3 shareholders, and it's now a Skybound Capital group of companies.
Yeah. So that I remember when that happened, and it seems that a lot of work has gone into the branding. A lot of work has gone into the direction of the company. How do you think that it's changed, and how, looking at this year, we've already asked you how it's gone. How do you think it's changed?
I think one of the things I've worked hard on is giving it that institutional, robust, high-level proposition feel. Ultimately we meet clients and give them financial advice, and for many of those clients, they end up with a solution. I don't think that bit changes in too many respects, but certainly from an institution perspective, we now have a board in Malta, so we have a holding company. That holding company is 3 members of Skybound Capital, and myself. So again, very institutional feel. Underneath that, we have a very strong exco. You mentioned Tom Putras earlier, who's also now been promoted to that exco and brings significant talent, experience, and bandwidth to our capabilities as an exco. And then developing further underneath that to a senior management team and an opco. So I think that robustness, there are lots of companies that make decisions very quick. There are lots of companies that make decisions just out of 1 or 2 people. I think we make decisions well now as a business. Decisions are thought through, involving Skybound Capital, involving Exco. It's not my business to make lots of decisions. And again, just making sure that when we work on things, we do that for the right reasons. And a lot of those decisions are about our growth, but at the same time, growth at no consequence is not our model. So again, thinking about our clients, thinking about our advisors, thinking about our clients' journey with us, and that has significantly technology evolved. So yeah, I think it's that institutional structure that allows us to make better decisions than perhaps some of the smaller independent financial advisory businesses that might be operating in the expat space.
So you mentioned the team, having the right people. How do you, it's a competitive world out there, isn't it? How do you make sure that everybody stays? What's the kind of retention like here? And how do you find the new talent as well? How do you go about that?
I think you divide the team probably into 2, what I would call frontline and support infrastructure. So support infrastructure is all about, creating the right team leaders, the right development, the right promotional opportunities, and certainly our retention in that space, our ability to recruit, develop, and hire, the ability to make sure that we recruit those people in the right location. So, one of our biggest up-and-coming offices right now is Mumbai, for example. So we have 20 members of staff in that team, led by Hussein, which is, an exceptionally run business unit. So I think our back office support team is really cutting edge. So we've doubled our advisor numbers this year, but we haven't had to change any of our infrastructure numbers, purely on the basis of our tech and our efficiency and our capability in that backside. Our front office, our advisor, again, very good retention this last 12 months. We work hard on bringing new people through academy. So I think I've said on a previous podcast, 49% of our revenue that we produce at the company is produced by people that have come through our academy process. So, it starts with the academy, but the ability to train and coach and nurture people throughout the business is something that we work really hard on. And I think that helps with retention. You will always lose 1 or 2 people. There'll always be 1 or 2 people that don't feel that they fit in or don't feel it's the right family style for the way that they see their future, or they want to go off and develop maybe their own business units. Yeah. But in the main, retention is exceptional.
Very, very good. Just on what, if you had to sum up what is the Skybound brand? What is it that you are selling to people? How do you like to be perceived?
I won't answer that with a typical cliche, cheesy answer. Yeah, I think what I will give you is a real example of a lady that came to me just a few weeks ago, and she had worked in the UK. She's now working here, but wants to retire in Cyprus. Yeah, And we were one of the only companies that she could find. We're not alone. There are one or two others, but it was the only one she could find that we could deal with her UK assets. We could deal with her while she was overseas in Dubai, and when she moved or retired to Cyprus, we could start planning that move, that tax planning piece. Yeah. So I think, listen, there are loads of financial advisory firms that will all say that we're bigger, we're more technical, we're more efficient, we've got better systems. Yeah, they all have their own reasons why they think they are number one. But I think this joined up piece now, this global mobility piece, is something that very few companies can do. And I think you've started to see some consolidation in the marketplace. I think that consolidation will further increase. And you'll probably end up with 3 to 5 global financial advisory businesses that can genuinely look after clients in most places that clients would or could go to.
So do you see yourselves in the space of, if businesses are consolidating, are you a home for those businesses? Have you got budget to be doing things like that? And number two, there's a big firm out there that seems to be buying lots of advisory firms. Have they been knocking on the door?
No, they're not my door. No, I think, listen, consolidation is normal. In most marketplaces, UK, US, Australia, that I mentioned before, consolidation is something that happens. Some firms at times, through various different backings with PE companies, will be more aggressive and more resourced to be able to do that. So although we are also backed private equity, taking over other companies right now is not on our agenda. We prefer to look at internally grown talent. And once we've done that efficiently, and once we have that sort of ability to sort of nurture young advisors through to the ranks of being, accomplished advisors, then finding other firms at this moment in time is not on our agenda.
How proud does it make you to look at the way this business is developing? And I say that based on what you just said about the number of academy staff. How much of the business was it? Nearly 50%.
49, yeah.
49% of the business is written by. How proud does that make you to see people come through the ranks and stay here, have success at Skybound?
That success is a reflection of the team leaders and managers and leaders of those business units. So somebody that sits above that and sees firsthand how hard those individuals work to deliver that is amazing. We just had 8 new graduates into our system, highly profiled from thousands of different graduates, and already after 2 or 3 months, again, all doing exceptionally well. They're spending lots of time in various departments, whether that be compliance, marketing, technology, proposition, investments, and really getting a really wide understanding. So although that is an investment and a cost to us, historically what it shows is, the vast majority of that group of 8 will come through after 2 years. They'll be fully qualified level 4. They'll know our processes. That's particularly useful with the tech. They integrate into the tech much earlier in the lifeline. Of course, when you have a 50-year-old advisor that joins you, there's always a challenge from our perspective in terms of making them feel comfortable with the tech. And one of the things I worked really hard on when I first came was to make sure that our tech was advisor driven. Yeah, I don't want to be in an organization where we're told how to use the tech or operations design tech for us. It's very important for me as an active advisor that I'm able to go into the tech room and say to the guys, listen guys, I need that button to move from there to there because that will make it more efficient. The following day it's in the place that the button's in the place that it should be. Whereas of course when you work for a too large a company, that's almost impossible. So I think we have a bit of a sweet spot at the moment. Like, we're big enough to be able to do things. We're big enough to make investments. We're big enough to enhance our proposition, but we still have that smallness and that sort of family feeling where each interdepartment, has tremendous chemistry, and we can interact and make sure that we improve our proposition, and there's no resistance to doing that.
I said earlier, it seems there's a new initiative every week. What's coming down the line for Skybound into 2026? I asked you this in May about other jurisdictions and how's all that coming along? Is there anywhere that you don't have advisors and you'd like to have advisors? what's next year going to look like?
I think sometimes you can expand too quickly just for almost the remit of, we're in 150 different countries. Yeah, so I think it's, we're still small enough that making sure that the business units that we have, whether that be the UK, the US, Switzerland, Europe, Middle East, for example, now getting into Asia shortly, we make sure that we double down and concentrate on those units first and foremost to make sure that they're operating as efficiently as they can. We've made a number of significant changes in the US in terms of leadership, in the UK in terms of leadership. We had a huge change of leadership, 4 new leaders into and across our European businesses. We're about to open other offices in Europe, probably Q1. And then, of course, the other thing is some of our sub-brands. So again, this focus on this business as normal, whether that be a nationality focus, a demographic focus, a region focus. And then you've got these sub-brands like Women Like Us. Athletes and Creators is something that we've launched, really recently. And there are other initiatives like that that will come to the table again in Q1 2026.
Athletes and creatives, who would put those two together? Now it's a very. I saw that and I thought, what interesting initiative.
Even at Skybound Wealth, we look after a large number of sports professionals, creatives, social media type personnel, influencers. What we've effectively done is refocused our proposition and our brand so they believe that we are primed to look after them. So if I'm a creative in this part of the world, I might be living in Dubai, I might be young, I might be producing high levels of income, but I might have a YouTube account in the UK. What are the tax implications? So it's really the understanding of the things that they think are important to them and being confident and being able to be resourced to address their solutions. And then, of course, once you're in that conversation, that sort of wider financial planning piece will become naturally very evident. But I think, social media stars, creators, sports athletes, they all have that sort of similarity that for many of them, careers can be shortened. Their rise to fame can be often quick. They can move jurisdictions exceptionally quickly now, particularly into places like Dubai. A lot of them spend too much money too quickly. They don't necessarily come from the same academic background in terms of learning how to save and invest. So it's something that we see a really big opportunity for. And even as a sub-brand that's been live in the market for 2 months, I believe that some of the big football clubs that we're now working with, some of the affiliations that we're working with, some of the big influencers, some of the agencies, we've made, for me, far better progress in that 8 weeks than I would have expected.
Congratulations and keep up the good work. We're very excited for Wednesday. We'll have a hot debate, and thank you so much for being part of this podcast. But thank you also for your time today, Mike, and look forward to seeing you on the stage on Wednesday.
Pleasure. Thank you, Gary.
Thanks for watching or listening wherever you get your podcasts. Join us again next time for In the Loop.